Alright, hey guys, and welcome back to another Chocobo Bites video, a channel dedicated to small, bite-sized guides on Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. Today I want to talk about the Ifrit boss fight, and specifically how to utilize Glenn to really take advantage of this fight and get the most out of Glenn's weapons and loadouts. I'm going to show you two different builds with Glenn, one that's focused more on physical attack and one that's focused more on magical attack. But before we do that, let's take a look at Ifrit himself. As you will see here, the one that I personally focus on is the one that gives me Glenn's fire weapon. But if we examine the fight, and you see Ifrit here, you'll notice that he is weak to the X sigil, but then you have this other sigil that is sort of like a diamond almost. And I'm sure some of you have been ignoring this sigil for a little bit because there are actually only 3 weapons in the game that currently can deal this sigil damage, and one of the characters being Glenn, and I do feel like Glenn is probably the second most utilized. You have Glenn, you have Barret, and then you have Lucia. And I personally use Glenn for the sigil, so that's why I'm going to use my first guide to show you Glenn. As you can see here, Ifrit is susceptible to defense down, which is important for one of the builds that I'm going to show you guys. So let's go into Glenn's loadout here. Come down to my little loadouts that I've loaded up here to show you guys. So the first build here is the physical build. Now, these builds can definitely be refined. These are just loose recommendations. I will sometimes have equipment on that I don't typically use myself, but I figure it's a little bit easier for you guys to use. I will try and keep this as free-to-play or low-spending friendly as possible. So this first build here, and feel free to kind of change out these weapons as you see fit. This is the physical build. I put Apology and Hell in the first slot because this is a weapon that you do get for free when you first start playing the game. And it has really good stats in terms of just boosting your attack and good physical damage overall. Just a good stat weapon for the main slot. And then in the second slot is the main feature here, and this is Rest in Peace. Now, if you don't have this weapon, I will show you an alternative build that doesn't use Rest in Peace, but this is one of the main reasons you want to bring Glenn into Ifrit, is if you have this weapon. But stay tuned for the other build just in case you don't have Rest in Peace. Now, as you can see here, as I can show you with my mouse cursor, right here, there it has the diamond sigil, which is very important, and I'm going to show you an example of the Ifrit boss fight on the harder difficulty just to show you how super useful Rest in Peace and Hell's Penalty really is. So in terms of its R abilities, boost attack is what we're really looking for there. We don't care about the wind resistance in this case, and its support materia are the same as Twin Hell. In terms of your materia, I just equip an X materia because just in case you run into a Cactar and you kind of need to fill that slot of an X materia, it's kind of just a fill-in. He's going to be mostly spamming Hell's Penalty and also Blizzard Blow, as you can see. You want to make sure that you bring in some form of a Blizzard Blow, so a physical attack, since this build is focused on physical. And I also bring in a Circle Rune Sigil attack because, well, just to fill out the slots with him. You really just want him spamming Blizzard and Hell's Penalty the whole fight, so the other slots are not too important. You could also throw in like a Cura if you want him as a backup healer. Also, the biggest thing here, I have yet to unlock Shiva. I'm getting closer, but you definitely want to have Shiva in as your limit break. If you have her, she'll deal some massive damage. But if you don't, just feel free to use his single target limit break. For his sub-weapon, since this is a physical build, I am bringing in some of my current better physical sub-weapons, and I feel like Barret's Heavy Hauser, which some of you might have quite a few of these from because of the first banner in the game. It boosts your attack by quite a bit, but it also gives you that boost ability potency, which is really good for just kind of maxing out your damage when you're standing in your attack stance. This is not something I would normally bring, but I put this in here to kind of help out players that may not have options for a lot of weapons. You get this when you also start playing the game, and it just has, it's got a nice fire boost resist that I currently don't have leveled, but I just wanted to show you this as a good support option. So you get a little bit of fire resist, you get a little bit of boost attack. Your stats will look a lot better than mine if you actually have this leveled, especially if you use Zac. And I just love throwing this into builds for characters that I just want to be a little bit beefier. For the Beach Parasol, another weapon that you probably should have close to max by now, if not maxed, just gives a really nice boost to HP and magic defense. And magic defense will come into play because Ifrit will be using stuff like Hellfire, and you definitely don't want to take too much damage from that. Okay, now let me show you the magical build for Glenn, just in case that your Glenn is built a little bit more magically, or maybe the materials that you have in the game are a bit more magic focused than physical. Now, this one here, once again, you would want to use Shiva if you had her, but this is a new inclusion here. This just came out in the the second Tonberry event. So everybody's getting this, but what's really nice about this is it just gives a really nice boost to HP, gives a nice boost to magic defense, but most importantly, this is one of the only weapons Glenn can use that's single target magic damage. See how it says deal 460% magic non-elemental? Most of his weapons are dealing physical damage, so if you're going for more of a more of a magic build, this is definitely one of the best main weapons that you can equip on him, and you'll be able to max this thing out eventually, so that'll make a really good main weapon. And then if you don't have the Rest in Peace, the best weapon I can recommend after, even though this is a physical damage weapon, it can apply the physical debuff decrease, which can free up some of your other party members to not have to equip that themselves, like Cloud with the Hard Edge. So Ifrit is susceptible to defense down, so you kind of just want to bring this as a backup support piece. In terms of your materia, you want to bring magic-oriented runes and for breaking sigils, and of course, I don't have a really good blizzard for magic, but if you have a good blizzard that is magic oriented, you also want to bring that on Glenn. In terms of his sub weapons, I personally just put on Crew Kicker because I just tend to have it leveled because I also focus on fire damage with Glenn. This just gives a really nice boost to HP. And then of course the Beach Parasol again. And I put this on here. This doesn't really work too well on his physical build, but this is a great weapon if you have it for a support equipment, because it boosts Glenn's magic attack by quite a bit, and it gives you a little bit of ice potency as well. So Matt's Absolute Royale is a pretty good support weapon. So now what do you say, I'll just jump in and show you an Ifrit fight using my main build, just to kind of show you the power of Rest in Peace if you have it, and we'll jump right to that fight. Alright, so I'm going to keep it on speed up auto here for a little bit until we get to a certain part. So as you can see, even with auto on with this loadout, which is why I have 2 Blizzard Blows on my Glenn here, so that way he's kind of just almost forced to use it because you want him spamming that. But once he does this here, we're going to take it off auto. We're going to put it on slow speed also, just so you can kind of see this in action. So he should be charging his Hellfire here in a moment. And as you can see, he's taking physical defense down. That's from Cloud. Alright, so here we're going to slow it down. Now look at the runes. I may not be able to do this quick enough, but look at that rune. So when Glenn uses Hell's Penalty with a fully charged attack stance, it is dealing 3 sigil damage to that one on the left. Now before, you were probably ignoring the sigil because you were like, no big deal. I could just use whatever moves I want to use to deal with this. But when you get to this Ifrit fight, you're not going to have the time to be dealing that many attacks to Ifrit. Now, unfortunately, I actually got the interrupt. I typically don't get that. Let me just put it back on auto here so I can talk. So yeah, you can see the value of Hell's Penalty in this fight, especially with Glenn, because he could deal a ton of damage with Blizzard Blow with physical attack. And without Hell's Penalty, if you don't have, Barret or Lucia, and I will do guides to kind of just show you loadouts for them if you do have those characters instead, look at how much easier that is when you can actually interrupt his Hellfire. And this is probably going to be an S rank based on that kill speed. Let's see. Oh, no, we just missed the S, but that's okay. I'm still working my way up to be able to get S's on Ifrit. Anyway, I hope you guys found this video useful. If you use Glenn, I wanted to just show you the power that he can bring to the Ifrit fight. Be sure to subscribe for more small guides like this in the future for Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, and thank you for watching.